Hey YouTube, this is Southern Prepper 1. This is my second attempt on this video. I started it this morning and I had a fire call. Ended up being the man was deceased and had been deceased for minimum 48 hours, maybe a little bit longer. That scene is not a good scene when you go to. Having seen a lot of things like that, being in the military and in the fire services, death is a real thing. I think death is going to affect a lot of people in a grid down raw situation, because a lot of people right now don't see that side. A human body starting the process of decay is not a good sight, especially over 48 hours. I'm not going to describe it. I think that alone is something that we need to start talking about as preppers, because that was one human being. In a grid down worst case, we're going to have multiple people, hundreds and thousands. They estimate that in an EMP event, 90% of Americans can die. That means there's going to be a lot of bodies. Let's not say it's going to be that high. These bodies are not going to be disposed of properly. Some will be left in homes, some will be left wherever they fall, because of the situation. That in itself is going to be a scene where we don't want to see, especially children. So I don't want to dwell on that, but I want to tell you that it's real. We need to address it as the prepper community. And there's really nothing you can do to get used to it. And I hope I never get used to seeing dead people. But it definitely, after seeing so many, you can deal with it in a little different way than the average person that does not see those horrific bodies, how they're mutilated from accidents, burned in fires. So it's something we need to talk about, but that wasn't the purpose of the video that I started this morning and then had to stop it. It's talking about a medical clinic. So let me show you a few things. I need input. I'm one person plus our larger group, but you guys are like a think tank for us. I think we need to have two things in our group. I think we need to have a local community medical facility. It might be very basic, but I think it needs to be one first for us, just our prepper group, people that have contributed to it, because in the worst case, we're not going to be able to help everyone. And then I think we need to have a mobile MASH tent system that we can take anywhere and help. Either help it through our emergency management for our county. We're trying to partner with the Red Cross to get training to be able to open a shelter. But we don't want to, try to save the world because we can't. We're a small group, but we want to help people. So I think we need two plans. One is a clinic for us as preppers, and then a mobile MASH, and then maybe down the road, maybe a clinic for the whole community to use, if we could muster that in a worst case. I think having a clinic is something that can bring the community together, give people purpose, maybe make them get more organized. If you can say, hey, we got a clinic and we got to do this and we got to do this, people might say, wow, you pulled the clinic off. And we definitely can pull a security plan off for the whole community for miles and miles around. Or maybe we can do something with electricity. Maybe we can run communication with field phones using existing telephone lines, which is very possible. I've been studying that, and very possible. But I want to address some problems and get some input from you guys. First, security. If we're going to open a clinic, it has to be secure so the average person doesn't know we have a clinic, because they're going to assume some of the people that are on drugs, hey, you got narcotic drugs, and will be a security threat. Plus, let's say we set up a MASH tent. We set up 4 or 5 of these tents. We got everything equipped. We need security there, and that security needs to be our own internal security, and then also work with the local sheriff's department. So if we have a huge earthquake or a huge disaster, we can work closely with law enforcement to keep everything running smooth and secure. Next is PP, personal protective equipment. I don't know, I left before they removed the body, just because the body's so bad. They're going to need professional suits because of the mess it's going to create. So do you have some way to remove a body that will break open it's not a nice scene. You know, a normal Tyvek suits, these ones are somewhat waterproof. These cheaper ones are more of a dust. They will not work. Stuff's going to come through them. So you need gloves, you're going to need masks, you need to protect your skin. Just to remove a body, and you're also going to need a lot of gloves and the same PPE equipment to protect first responders and your clinic workers. Next is we need a communication plan for internally. If say we set up a MASH clinic, we need to know what frequency the clinic will work on, and be able to also set up comms with the local emergency management, be able to talk to them and work together. Next is site selection. We're going to go as close as we can to the disaster so we can aid. Maybe the disaster is so huge, maybe the local hospitals are not going to be able to take our patients, seen we're in the northern part of the county, far away from the hospital, or they might be damaged. So we need a plan to say, all right, yes, we can triage people, and then we're going to transport them to the hospital through the existing EMS. But maybe EMS says, hey, we can't send anybody to that hospital. What are we going to do with patients? We're going to triage them and lay them down, and then they just slowly die? No, we have to have a plan. Now, we're not going to be able to do everything, but if we can set up a MASH clinic, use our sweat and muscles, and then let the county, because I work with the EMS people. I just spent an hour or two with them right now on that last call. They're great people, and they have skills that we don't have as a prepper group. Yes, we can recruit doctors from our community to help in this, people that live by, but it'd be nice for us to do the hard work of setting things up and then let the EMS personnel come in. We be the workhorses. We do a lot of the work for them, but they're specially trained so they can save as many people as they can, and we can triage them. So we need a site selection. What is the criteria for us to set up a refugee or a MASH unit? So that needs to be part of our SOP. What do we need? We want to be able to be self-contained. So if we don't have existing buildings to use, if we could use an existing building, things would go so quick. We could set up very fast. If we have grid power at that location, we don't need to have generators. And that gets into Honda generators. These little 2000s could definitely run this, run a few fans, run lights, run equipment. We'd have enough power. So how many Honda generators do we have? Probably 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 in the group. But how many people are going to use them, let us use them? You know, there's a fine line of having that clinic and a little bit of power. But it might be where we're going to have to, you know, get more of our equipment involved. But that takes it away from people's retreats. So there's that fine line. Then you're talking about sanitation, restrooms, hot water. We need, you know, the backbone of just cleaning. Patients come in, there's blood that needs to be cleaned off, bleached, cleaned, and that's just, anybody can be taught how to do that. And that's a huge advantage. If you can have the EMS personnel not worry about that, just keep saving lives and doing medical procedures, that'd be so important. What's our plan for sharps? We need sharp containers. What's our plan for contaminated blankets? We have lots of blankets. We could probably stock 50 to 100 just for the MASH hospital. We have someone going to donate a trailer. It's an awesome trailer. It would be still his trailer, totally under his legal authority. He owns a trailer, but he's going to be letting us use it for a clinic. I'm going to show you that trailer. It's awesome. How do we need to set it up for a mobile command? How do we need to set it up for search and rescue? How do we need to set it up for setting up a MASH clinic? So a lot of things. Also, how are we going to move injured people? Say EMS is not functioning. Do we have enough stretchers in our group? Do we have enough pickup trucks? You just can't let people die. So, you know, well, I'm not totally trained how to do that. There's no ambulances running. That's why we need to train. We need to work with the Red Cross and work with anybody that will train us, so we can safely remove people from a scene and at least triage them so they can get some medical help. I think stretchers are important. Our group was a little short on stretchers, but our group is awesome. Group of people, when they see, hey, we're a little bit short on something, so many people went out and bought stretchers. So I'm so happy with that. Next is potable water. We need someone to bring potable water to us. There's so many things. How about record keeping? Someone assign every person that comes through. We take a picture of their face if they're, seriously injured, if we don't know their names. We keep good records. I'm going to go over triaging a patient. It's very easy to triage a patient. You can do it very quick. So we need to all learn how to do that. What about a refugee area for families? We have a disaster, we have injured people, and then we just have people that are not totally injured at all, but they want to be near their injured relatives. How are we going to use, what's our policy? You can't have, one injured person and 5 or 6 family members back in this limited spot. So we need to have a SOP. How about fire protection? We might be running generators. What is our SOP? How far does that generator stay away from a building or a tent? Do we have the proper electrical cords, the heavy duty cords? Do we have fire extinguishers? What's the SOP? A mandatory 1 fire extinguisher next to every generator, 1 fire extinguisher in every tent. What about a morgue area? Where are you going to put bodies that are need to be placed in a certain area away from other people so they don't see, covered? That's where body bags come in, that's where sheets come in, that's where blankets come in. What's the SOP for logging that person in? Also, it'd be nice to be able to go from a mass triage center to switching gears quickly and becoming a food and comfort area. All right, we got the injured out, we don't need the medical as much. Can we switch over? We need to be able to provide our beverages, food and water for our first responders and our team working in the clinic. And then do we switch over and start making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for refugees, for people that have nowhere to go? Our homes were destroyed. I think that needs to be an SOP. Did you have a good site selection where you can land helicopters? We're always bringing in birds to take out critically injured patients. Just last week, another one. So pick a site, and that goes back to the site selection. The person that's going to make that decision, do they need to know the requirements? Do we have the proper lighting if it's at night so we can safely land birds to evac seriously injured? Say we're using a facility, do we have some cones? Lots of cones so we can mark off areas, keep cars from coming into areas where potentially people could be laying down, in the triage area. We don't want cars and vehicles near people laying down. Safety issues, no one run over. How about chaplain services? Do we have a plan to deal with loss of life, to deal with counseling family members? How about a safe area? Say we have a disaster and by chance we have high valuable items, or people have firearms. Do we have a place where we can secure those for an injured person? Record them in properly, document who they go to. I think the big thing is we do the hard work, and what do we want the county to do for us? Because they got a responsibility too, and they have resources that we don't have. They got EMS personnel that have skills. What about oxygen? They provide oxygen, fluids, medications that we don't have and can't legally get, an AED machine. I think preppers need to partner with. My community might be a little different than your community. Your community could be a huge city, and there's no way that they're going to work with you. But I think we need to work slowly towards that, because the people in my community working for Red Cross are all volunteers also. EMS people live in my community. They're my neighbors. So I think we need to have a plan. Sitting back and not doing anything is not a plan. So, as a group, we have to make decisions. What are we going to do? I would love to set up a clinic on my property. I'm centrally located. It would be a clinic only for group members. By doing that, I'm definitely going to have more of a security risk. There's so much to even think about. Cleaning supplies, bleach to decontaminate things. How many supplies would you go through? A great place to have hot water so people can wash their hands properly. Plenty of hand sanitizer. A bullhorn, because with no power and we need to communicate with a large group of people, or we need to get people to certain areas, a bullhorn would be so valuable. I threw a lot at you. We're working on our SOP, and then we're going to step into, hey, setting tents up, practicing, taking tents, setting them up, tearing them down, setting them up, and timing. How fast can we put up a working medical triage center? Can we do it in an hour? Can we do it in 2 hours? Or can we do it in sections where, you know, basics are done in an hour and we can give you more in 2 hours, and by the time 4 hours have passed, we have all this going for you. Generators running, fuel on site, potable water on site, a means to heat hot water, a mean to feed all of the EMS personnel and first responders and our clinic group. A lot of questions. I need your input. Sort of a bummer today. Anytime a person dies, you know, he's somebody. He's somebody's father, somebody's brother. You know, so in a worst case event, I want to limit that. I want to limit the amount of people that suffer. I want to limit the amount of people that die. I know you do. If you're watching my channel, you probably do too. You might not be able to do what I'm doing, and that's not your task in life. Your task right now is to do something. So if it is just take care of yourself, that's a huge advantage. Or take care of your family, huge advantage. If your family doesn't need food, water, shelter, security, because you're taking care of it, that's more for other people that can't take care of it, or their supplies were destroyed. Anybody quickly can become a refugee. So I love your input. It'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks for watching.